The smell was still in my jacket from the VA appointment. Hot plastic and something electrical. I kept the windows down even though it was 94 degrees and the air coming off the desert felt like standing behind a jet engine. My notebook sat open on the passenger seat, corner flapping against the vinyl. I'd started carrying it after the transformer fire back in 2016. Not because anyone told me to. Just seemed like the kind of thing you should write down when equipment starts doing things it shouldn't. The fire had been small. A secondary relay box outside Building 7 at the Boulder City facility. But the smell stuck around for 3 days, and nobody could tell me why the relay had been pulling twice its rated load. I wrote that down, wrote down the timeline, the temperature reading from the housing, the way the insulation had bubbled instead of charred. Turned out I was right to log it. Same relay configuration failed again 8 months later at a pump station near Laughlin. Different site, same problem. My notes helped them track the batch number on the components. Manufacturing defect. Got recalled. After that, I just kept writing things down. The VA counselor said it was probably a control thing, managing anxiety through documentation. That's fine. Didn't really matter why it worked. I was doing 70 down US 93, watching the heat shimmer come off the asphalt in waves. The notebook had today's date at the top. 9:42 a.m. The last entry was from my appointment an hour ago. Smell, electrical insulation, possibly phenolic resin, source unknown, duration, ongoing since arrival. The whole waiting room had smelled that way. Nobody else seemed to notice. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. I let it ring twice before I picked up. Webster. Leroy. It's Nicole. Where are you? I checked the mile marker coming up. About 20 minutes out. Good. We've got a situation at the dam. I'm headed there now. Meet me at the main visitor lot. I waited. She didn't add anything. What kind of situation? Equipment malfunction. Maybe environmental. They're being vague. Her voice had that tight quality it got when she was reading between the lines of someone else's incident report. A worker didn't check in from a lower gallery. Security's already cleared the section. That meant it wasn't a medical emergency. Or if it was, they'd already decided it wasn't immediate enough to call it that. What do they want from us? Confirmation, documentation, the usual. She paused. Bring your kit and that notebook you're always writing in. Got it. She hung up. I wrote it down. Call from Nicole Reynolds. 9:58 a.m. Equipment malfunction. Possible environmental factor. Worker missing from lower gallery. Security cleared section. The thing about vague calls is they're usually worse than specific ones. Specific means someone knows what broke and how to fix it. Vague means people are improvising and nobody wants to commit to a theory yet. I merged onto the lane that curved toward the dam. The Colorado River sat flat and green below the highway, hemmed in by red rock that looked like it had been stacked by hand. Hoover Dam came into view about 3 miles out. Just the top edge of it. White concrete against the canyon shadow. People always talked about how big it was, but from the highway it just looked like a wall. A very exact, very intentional wall. I clicked my pen. Wrote, visual confirmed dam structure normal. No obvious surface abnormalities. Probably didn't need to write that. Did it anyway. Nicole's Tahoe was already in the lot when I pulled in. She was standing next to it with her arms crossed. Field jacket zipped despite the heat, clipboard tucked under one arm. Her hair was pulled back in the tight bun she always wore on site. Professional. No nonsense. The ranger standing next to her was younger, maybe early 30s, wearing the National Park Service uniform and carrying enough gear on his belt to outfit a small tactical team. Radio, flashlight, keys on a retractable cord. I parked 3 spaces down and grabbed my kit from the back. Nicole was already walking toward me. Leroy, good. She nodded toward the ranger. This is Clyde Johnson. He's our escort. Clyde stepped forward and shook my hand. Firm grip, calm face. The kind of guy who'd practice staying composed during emergencies. "Appreciate you coming out," he said. "Situation's a little unusual." I waited for him to define unusual. He didn't. Nicole pulled a folded site map from her clipboard and tapped a section marked in blue. Inspection Gallery 3, Nevada Wing. It's a maintenance corridor that runs parallel to the lower penstock tunnels. Technician named Marcus Hoff went down at 0700 to check a pressure sensor. Routine work. Should have been back by 0745. What time did someone notice he was missing? 8:30. Supervisor tried his radio. No response. Sent another tech down to check. That guy got about 50 feet in and turned around. Why? She looked at Clyde. Clyde cleared his throat. He said the air felt wrong, and he heard something he didn't recognize. Described it as a hum, maybe mechanical. Said it made him nauseous. I wrote that down. Second technician reported nausea and unidentified mechanical hum at 50 feet into gallery. So you pulled everyone out and locked it down. Standard procedure, Clyde said. Environmental hazard protocol. We're treating it as a possible gas leak until we know otherwise. Nicole folded the map back up. We go in, confirm what's happening, locate Marcus if he's still in there, and get out before this turns into a public safety issue. Simple. Nothing about that sounded simple, but I nodded. What's the air quality reading? Normal, Clyde said. We checked from the access point. Oxygen, CO, CO2, all in range. No volatile organics flagged. So, not a gas leak, or not one their sensors could detect. I looked past them toward the dam. Tourists were walking around the plaza near the visitor center, taking photos, leaning over the rail to look down at the river. Kids running in circles. A couple holding hands, everyone acting like it was a normal Tuesday. That made it worse somehow. The contrast. Emergency crews locked down a whole wing of the structure, and 20 feet away people were buying postcards. Nicole caught me staring. They don't know. We're keeping it contained. What about the cameras? Clyde shifted his weight. That's part of the problem. Feed from Gallery 3 started glitching around 0630, static. Then it went dark. Just a black strip across the monitor. We've got techs looking at it, but so far no explanation. Before it went dark, did it show anything? Marcus entering the gallery, normal footage, then the static. I added that to my notes. Camera malfunction beginning 0630. Feed went fully dark after static phase. Last clear image. Marcus Hoff entering gallery. What about sound? You said there was a hum. Clyde looked uncomfortable. Yeah, that's the other thing. The PA system down there is stuck, playing an old evacuation loop. We can't shut it off remotely, and nobody's gone deep enough to access the manual override. What do you mean stuck? It's repeating. Same message. Over and over. Sounds muffled, like it's coming from behind a wall, but it's definitely running. Nicole checked her watch. We're losing time. I want to be in and out before the woo-ho tour groups cycle through. She started walking toward the restricted entrance behind the power plant exhibits. Clyde followed. I stayed a half step behind, writing as I walked. PA system malfunction. Evacuation loop repeating. Unable to shut off remotely. The restricted entrance was a plain metal door with a card reader and a sign that said, "Authorized personnel only." Clyde swiped his badge and the lock clicked. He pulled the door open and cool air rolled out, recycled, concrete scented. The fluorescent lights inside were the old kind, the ones that buzzed just loud enough to be annoying. And underneath that, faint and rhythmic, I could hear it. The loop, muffled, distant. But there. A voice saying something I couldn't make out yet. Then a pause. Then the voice again. I stopped just inside the threshold and listened, counted the beats. 12 seconds of voice, 4 seconds of silence. Repeat. I wrote it down. Loop interval. 12 seconds message, 4 seconds silence. Nicole looked back at me. You coming? Yeah. I closed the door behind us and followed them deeper into the dam. The door clicked shut behind me and the temperature just dropped. Fast. I don't mean it got cooler. I mean I felt the air change in maybe 10 seconds. Like stepping into a walk-in freezer that hadn't been running right. Went from Nevada heat to something damp and cold enough that my forearms prickled. The walls were sweating. That's the only way to describe it. Concrete doesn't sweat, obviously, but moisture beaded along the surface in these uneven patches, collecting in the seams between panels. I touched the wall without thinking. My fingertips came away wet. Clyde already had his flashlight out, swinging the beam down the corridor ahead of us. He moved like this was routine. Maybe for him it was. He worked here. But the way he kept the light steady and his shoulders square felt a little too practiced. Kind of like he'd decided what this was before we even got inside. Nicole walked behind him, half a step to the left so she could see past his shoulder. She started talking almost immediately. "Coolant line runs adjacent to this passage," she said. Her voice echoed weird, flatter than it should have been. "If there's a slow leak, condensation builds up. Humidity differential does the rest." I wrote that down. Not because I thought she was right, but because that's what she said. Coolant line, condensation, humidity differential. She was naming things, forcing an explanation into the space before anything else could settle there. The announcement was louder in here. Not louder exactly. Closer. It thudded through the walls in this low, muffled rhythm that I felt more than heard. 12 seconds of voice. 4 seconds of silence. 12 seconds. 4 seconds. The pattern hadn't changed since I'd timed it outside. "Gas leak wouldn't present with moisture," Nicole added. She wasn't talking to me. Maybe not even to Clyde. Just talking. More likely electrical fault in the dehumidifier system. If the compressor's cycling incorrectly, you'd get exactly this. Clyde nodded but didn't say anything. His radio crackled once on his belt. He reached down, turned the volume knob lower without breaking stride. We passed the first junction. There was a metal rack bolted to the wall with gear hanging from it. Earmuffs, a couple of high-vis vests, 2 handheld radios and charging cradles. A laminated safety placard above it. Clyde stopped, pulled the radios out of the cradles one at a time, checked the battery indicator lights. Both green. "Standard precaution," he said. He handed one to Nicole, then held the other one out to me. "Channel's already set. Control room's monitoring." I took it, clipped it to my belt next to my notebook. The weight felt good, honestly. Something I could reach for. Something with a function I understood. Clyde grabbed 2 sets of earmuffs off the rack, passed one to me. The foam was kind of grimy, compressed from too many shifts of use, but I put them around my neck anyway. Adjustable strap. Tension I could control. I tightened it 1 notch, then loosened it again. Just checking. Nicole already had hers on, pushed up on top of her head like a headband. She glanced at her watch. 14 minutes since last contact attempt with Marcus, she said. "We need to keep moving." The announcement hit again. 12 seconds. I couldn't make out the words through the walls, just the cadence, the rise and fall, then 4 seconds of nothing. I wrote down the time, wrote earmuffs issued, and radio channel preset. My hand was steady. That helped. We kept walking. The passage sloped down, not steep, but I felt it in my knees after about 30 feet. Fluorescent lights ran along the ceiling in caged fixtures, maybe one every 15 feet, and half of them flickered. Not in sync, just random strobing that made the shadows jump. Clyde's flashlight beam cut through it, locked on the floor ahead. I kept my eyes on the concrete, watched for cracks, for moisture patterns, for anything that didn't belong. It's what I do. What I'm supposed to do. The floor was clean mostly, some dust in the corners, a couple of boot prints in the condensation that hadn't dried yet. Then Clyde stopped. His light settled on something about 10 feet ahead. Small. Dark. sitting right in the middle of the walkway. "That's his," Nicole said. I already knew. It was a hard hat, yellow, with a Bureau of Reclamation decal on the front and a headlamp bracket clipped to the brim. The chin strap dangled loose. Clyde moved forward, slow, and crouched next to it. He didn't touch it, just looked. I came up beside him and dropped into a crouch too, pulled my notebook out, flipped to a new page. The hard hat was vibrating, not rocking, not sliding. Vibrating in place, this fine little tremor that made it look blurry if you stared too long. And the dust around it, the fine grit that had settled into the texture of the concrete, was moving, hopping. Tiny grains lifting and dropping in a rhythm I recognized immediately. 12 seconds of motion, 4 seconds of stillness. I watched it cycle twice to be sure. Wrote it down. Hard hat vibrating in sync with announcement loop. Dust particles responding to vibration frequency. Nicole leaned over my shoulder. "Resonance," she said. "If the PA system's feedback loop is strong enough, it could transfer through the structure. Sympathetic vibration in anything not bolted down." I nodded. Didn't agree, just acknowledged. She was still naming things. Clyde reached out, picked up the hard hat. The vibration stopped the second he lifted it. He turned it over in his hands, checked the inside. "No damage," he said. "Strap's not torn." He took it off. "Or it fell," Nicole said. Chin strap's unbuckled. Clyde held it up so we could see. He removed it deliberately. I wrote that down too. Then I stood up, took 2 steps forward, stopped. The announcement hit again. I pulled the earmuffs down over my ears this time, pressed them tight. It didn't help. The sound wasn't just in the air, it was in the floor, in the walls. I felt it through my boots, through my chest. 12 seconds of this low rhythmic pressure, then 4 seconds where my ears rang in the silence. I pushed the earmuffs back up. "It's not a loop," I said. Nicole looked at me. "What?" "The message. It's not a simple loop." I'd been counting the words, approximating anyway. 12 seconds isn't much, but it's enough for maybe 25, 30 words if someone's speaking at normal pace. I didn't know what the message was. Couldn't make it out through the distortion in the walls. But I'd been tracking the rhythm, the spaces between sounds, the inflection points. They weren't identical. "Each repeat shifts," I said. "Slightly. The phrasing changes." Clyde stood up, hard hat still in his hand. "PA systems loop. That's what they do. Recorded message on a timer." "I know." I flipped back a page in my notebook, scanned what I'd written outside. "But this one's pulling fresh phrasing, or remixing. I don't know, it's not static." Nicole's jaw tightened. She didn't like that. Didn't fit her script. "Feedback artifact," she said. "Degraded playback medium cycling through corrupted sectors. You'd get variation in output even with identical input data." Maybe. Probably not. I didn't argue, just wrote down what I'd observed. Wrote announcement pattern inconsistent between iterations and underlined it. Clyde clipped the hard hat to his belt, then unhooked his radio, keyed the mic. "Johnson to control. We've located Hoff's hard hat in Passage C, approximately 60 feet from Gallery 3 access. No sign of Hoff himself. Proceeding to gallery entrance. Confirm air quality readings unchanged. Static." Then a voice I didn't recognize, male, older. "Control copies. Air quality green across all sensors. Gallery 3 camera feed still down. Advise caution." "Understood. Johnson out." He released the mic, started to clip the radio back to his belt. The announcement hit again. I had my notebook up, pen ready because that's what I do when I don't know what else to do. I was listening, not to the words, still couldn't make them out, but to the shape of it, the rhythm, and it was different. 12 seconds, but the inflection points had moved, the pauses had shifted, and buried in the muffled thud of it, I heard something new. A word I recognized. Control. I wrote it down. Fast. My handwriting got messy, but I didn't care. Then I heard another one. Gallery 3. My hand stopped. Nicole was staring at the ceiling, at the speaker grill set into the concrete above us. Clyde had gone completely still, radio halfway to his belt. The announcement cycled through. 12 seconds. 4 seconds of silence. Then it hit again. Proceeding to gallery entrance. Clyde's exact words, his phrasing, pulled out of his radio transmission maybe 15 seconds ago and folded into the loop. I looked at him. He looked at me. Feedback, Nicole said. Her voice had gone quiet. Radio signals bleeding into the PA system. Crossed wiring. It happens. It doesn't. Not like that. Not that fast. I wrote it down anyway. Wrote announcement incorporating radio transmission content and real-time integration observed. Clyde keyed his mic again. Slower this time. Johnson to control. Disregard last. Holding position. Static. Control copies. Holding position. Is there a problem? Negative. Confirming comms integrity. Stand by. He released the mic. We waited. The announcement came back. 12 seconds. I strained to hear it. Tried to pull words out of the muffled noise. Nothing clear. Just the rhythm, the pressure. Then the silence. Then it hit again. Holding position. Clyde's voice, Clyde's words, pulled straight from the radio and fed back through the PA loop. Nobody said anything for maybe 10 seconds. I kept writing. My pen moved steady across the page, recording timestamps, observations, the sequence of events. It didn't feel like anxiety management anymore. It didn't feel like control. It felt like documentation. Because this wasn't a malfunction. Malfunctions don't listen. They don't pull content from live transmissions and weave it back into their output. They don't respond. This was responding. I finished the line I was writing. Added one more note at the bottom of the page. System demonstrates real-time adaptive behavior. Not random. Responsive. Then I flipped to the next page and kept my pen ready. Because whatever this was, it wasn't done yet. The junction opened wider than the passage we'd been following. 3 corridors branched off the main one, and someone had bolted a metal bench to the wall. 2 people were already there. The first guy stood near the bench with a handheld meter, about 5'9", slim build. Wavy black hair, a little too long for practical work. He wore rectangular glasses and a lightweight field jacket over a collared shirt. He looked up when we approached and extended his hand toward me. Leroy Webster? I stopped. Didn't take his hand yet. That's me. Everett Salazar, UNLV Acoustics Research. Oh, that was the guy who'd been emailing me for 3 months straight. Started with one message about resonance patterns in large concrete structures, then escalated to twice weekly reports on infrasound propagation in big dams. I'd responded to the first email with basic courtesy. Probably shouldn't have. After that, he treated me like a collaborator. I shook his hand. His grip was quick and nervous. Got your emails, I said. Good. I've been documenting anomalous readings in the lower galleries for 6 weeks. Low-frequency pressure waves that shouldn't exist given the structural acoustics. He held up the meter. Small black device with a digital readout and a short antenna. This is reading 18 hertz right now. Consistent amplitude, no source correlation. I wrote that down. 18 hertz, no source. Nicole stepped forward. You're cleared for access? Everett nodded and pulled a laminated badge from his jacket pocket. Facilities gave me a research pass last month. I've been coordinating with the engineering department on resonance surveys. Clyde examined the badge, then handed it back without comment. The second guy stood further down the junction near the leftmost corridor. Taller than me, maybe 6 feet even, but with a compact, powerful build, probably 200 pounds, all of it useful. Black hair buzzed short, dark eyes, broad features. He wore Navy utility gear with gloves and a harness that held a rebreather kit. He had a crowbar in one hand. Attakus Richardson, he said. Didn't move toward us. Navy diver support. They pulled me in case someone needs extraction from a flooded section. Nicole checked her clipboard. You're on the incident roster. Yeah. He didn't sound concerned. Didn't look it either. He leaned the crowbar against the wall and adjusted one of the straps on his harness. I looked at Clyde. This is standard protocol? Clyde nodded. Once we confirmed Marcus was missing and the gallery showed environmental anomalies, facilities activated the emergency response team. That includes specialized personnel. Everett stepped closer, holding the meter toward me. The reading started spiking 40 minutes ago, 18 to 22 hertz, cycling every 16 seconds. That's below normal hearing threshold, but well within tactile perception range. I could feel it. I'd been feeling it since we passed the first junction. A pressure in my chest that came and went. Infrasound, I said. Exactly. And there's no mechanical source that should generate this frequency at this amplitude. The turbines run at 60 hertz. The coolant pumps are higher. This is something else. Attakus picked up his crowbar again. Or it's a speaker system with a broken feedback loop. Everett shook his head fast. No, I've mapped the acoustic profile. This isn't electromagnetic. It's physical displacement of air mass propagating through the concrete itself. The announcement hit again. 12 seconds. I didn't try to make out words this time. When it finished, Attakus shrugged. Still, just sound. I didn't think he was right, but I didn't argue. Nicole addressed the group. Our priority is locating Marcus Hoff and confirming the environmental conditions in Gallery 3. If you're both cleared and equipped, you're with us. Everett nodded immediately. Attakus just started walking toward the middle corridor. That's when I noticed the hard hat on Clyde's belt was vibrating again. Not much, just a faint tremor, same rhythm as before. Clyde noticed too. He unclipped it and held it in his palm. The vibration was stronger now, visible even without watching the dust. It's pulling, Clyde said. I looked at him. What? The vibration. It's directional. He rotated slowly, holding the hard hat out. When he faced the leftmost corridor, the one Attakus had been standing near, the tremor intensified. When he turned away, it weakened. Everett stepped beside him with the meter. That matches the pressure gradient. The source vector is coming from that direction. I looked at the leftmost corridor. It wasn't on the map Nicole had shown me outside. I'd memorized the layout. 3 main passages, 2 inspection galleries, 4 access ways. This corridor wasn't listed. Clyde, I said, is that passage on your route map? He pulled a folded card from his belt pouch and opened it, studied it for 5 seconds. No. Nicole moved to his shoulder and checked the map herself. It should be a utility closet, maybe a transformer room. It's a corridor, Attakus said from the entrance. Goes back at least 60 feet. I can see another junction. I walked over and stood beside him. He was right. The corridor extended straight with the same caged fluorescent lights, same concrete walls. But something about the proportions felt wrong. The floor markings were there, yellow and black safety stripes at the threshold, stenciled warnings on the walls, but they looked stretched, like someone had painted them correctly and then pulled the whole space longer. I wrote that down. Floor markings present but distorted. We should follow it, Everett said. He was already moving toward the entrance with his meter held out in front of him. If the hard hat is responding to the pressure gradient, it's leading toward the source. Nicole hesitated. I could see her working through the decision. Protocol said stick to mapped routes. But Marcus was missing, and the only directional indicator we had was pointing down an unmapped corridor. 10 minutes, she said. We go 10 minutes down this passage. If we don't find Marcus or a clear explanation, we backtrack and proceed to Gallery 3 as planned. Clyde clipped the hard hat back to his belt. It kept vibrating. We entered the corridor. I pulled the earmuffs down over my ears after the first 20 feet. They'd been helping before, muffling the announcement loop enough that I could think between cycles. But now they didn't do anything. The sound wasn't only in the air anymore. It came through the concrete, through the floor, into my boots, up through my legs and spine. I could feel it in my skull. The earmuffs blocked the airborne component, sure, but that wasn't where most of it was traveling. I pushed them back up. No point. Everett walked ahead of me, watching his meter. 20 hertz now. Amplitude increasing 0.4 decibels per 10 meters. Attakus was in front, crowbar resting on his shoulder. He didn't look bothered. My footsteps sounded wrong. I stopped walking, listened. Each step landed twice. The first impact was normal. Boot sole on concrete, the sound you'd expect. But a half second later I heard it again. Same sound, slightly offset, like an echo that came too late and from the wrong direction. I took another step. Same thing. Impact, delay, second impact. "You hearing that?" I asked. Clyde stopped. "Hearing what?" "The footsteps. They're doubling." He took 2 steps forward, then stopped, frowned. "Yeah." Everett didn't look up from his meter. "Acoustic reflection off non-parallel surfaces. The geometry here is..." He paused, looked at the walls. "The geometry here doesn't support that reflection pattern. But you hear it," I said. "I hear it." We kept walking. The corridor didn't curve, didn't branch, just continued straight with those stretched floor markings and the doubled footsteps and the fluorescent lights that flickered in sequences I couldn't predict. Nicole checked her watch. 6 minutes. I checked mine. We'd been walking for 6 minutes, yeah, felt longer. Felt like we should have hit something by now. A wall, a door, another junction. The corridor just continued. I wrote, "Straight corridor. No branches. Footsteps echo delayed. Time feels inconsistent." The announcement came again, and this time I felt it in my teeth. Attakus stopped. He was looking at something on the floor ahead. We caught up to him. Boot prints, wet and recent, leading forward into the corridor. Same tread pattern as the ones we'd seen near the hard hat. "Marcus," Clyde said. The prints continued ahead, evenly spaced, no signs of stumbling or hesitation. Just steady forward movement. Deeper. Nicole looked at her watch again, then at the boot prints, then back the way we'd come. "We follow them," she said. Nobody argued. The deeper we went, the more I felt it. That sense that the normal rules weren't holding. The walls were still concrete. The lights were still fluorescent. But the space between things felt wrong. Stretched. Like the corridor was deciding its own length as we walked. I kept my notebook in my hand and my eyes on those boot prints. We kept moving. We found Marcus about 40 feet past the second junction. He was sitting against the wall on the left side, legs stretched out in front of him, boots flat on the concrete. His arms rested on his knees. That part looked normal. Everything else didn't. His face was wrong. I stopped walking. Clyde's flashlight hit him straight on, and I could see Marcus's cheeks pressed flat against his skull. Not bruised, not swollen. Flat. Like someone had taken a rolling pin to both sides of his face and smoothed the flesh down until it barely curved at all. His eyes were open, tracking us as we approached, but his expression didn't change. The concrete wall behind him looked soft where his shoulders touched it. Not crumbled, not damaged. Soft. The edges of his body, his back, his neck, the curve of his skull, they sank into the wall maybe half an inch. And the concrete had started to wrap around him, molding itself to the shape of his face and shoulders. I wrote that down. Concrete, accepting outline. Cheeks flattened. No visible trauma. Nicole moved forward first. She crouched about 3 feet away from Marcus and said his name twice. Marcus didn't answer. He raised one hand slowly and made a gesture. Palm out, fingers spread. Then he pointed at his legs and shook his head. Then he pointed at us and made a shoving motion. Go away. I watched his fingers. They bent wrong, not broken. I've seen broken fingers. This wasn't that. His index finger curled at 3 points instead of 2. The middle joint was new. It flexed smoothly when he moved his hand. No resistance, no pain visible on his face. His thumb had the same thing, an extra joint halfway down that let it curve in a direction thumbs don't go. I stepped closer and wrote it down. Fingers have additional articulation points. No fracture visible. Movement fluid. Attakus came up beside me, crowbar still on his shoulder, and said, "He's responsive. That's good." Everett stayed back with his meter, but he was staring at Marcus's face. He said something quiet that I didn't catch. Clyde moved his flashlight beam down to Marcus's legs, then back up to his face. He keyed his radio and said, "Control, we have visual on Hoff. He's alive, conscious, non-responsive verbally, possible injury to extremities," and he paused. "Structural contact with the wall, requesting medical standby at access point." The radio crackled. The same older voice said, "Copy. Medical is staging now. Can he walk?" Clyde looked at Marcus. Marcus shook his head again and tapped his legs twice, then made the shoving motion again. Harder this time. Clyde said, "Negative. Subject is non-ambulatory and appears to be requesting we maintain distance." "Understood. Advise when extraction is feasible." Clyde clipped the radio back to his belt. Nicole leaned in closer to Marcus. She said, "Marcus, I'm going to check your pulse. Just stay still." She reached out. The announcement hit again. But this time it wasn't the same loop. This time it said, "Attention. Fire reported in lower maintenance corridor, northwest wing, vicinity of Gallery 3 junction. All personnel evacuate immediately via marked routes. Do not use elevator access. Repeat. Fire reported in lower maintenance corridor, northwest wing." I grabbed Nicole's wrist and yanked her back before her fingers touched Marcus's arm. She turned and looked at me, annoyed. "Webster, I need to..." "It's talking about us," I said. Clyde's head snapped up. "What?" I pulled my notebook out and flipped it open to a blank page. I wrote while I talked. It said, "Lower maintenance corridor, northwest wing, Gallery 3 junction." That's where we are. Everett took 2 steps forward, meter still in his hand. It referenced a fire. "Yeah. Is there a fire?" I looked around. No smoke, no heat, no smell of burning. Just cold, damp concrete and fluorescent lights. "No." Nicole pulled her arm free and stood up. She checked her watch, then looked back down the corridor we'd come from. "Could be automated. Motion sensors trigger localized alerts. Motion sensors don't describe your exact location in real time," I said. I kept writing. "Fire reported lower maintenance corridor, northwest wing, Gallery 3 junction. No fire present. System tracking position." Attakus shifted the crowbar to his other shoulder. "PA systems don't improvise." "This one does," I said. The announcement cycled again. Same phrasing, same cadence. 12 seconds, 4 seconds of silence. Then it shifted. "Attention. Structural instability detected in Northwest Passage. All personnel maintain safe distance from wall contact. Repeat, do not make physical contact with compromised surfaces." I underlined wall contact in my notebook. Nicole's jaw tightened. She looked at Marcus, then at me, then back at Marcus. "It's pulling from sensor data, pressure readings, thermal scans." It said, "Do not make physical contact," I said, "right after you tried to touch him." Clyde moved his flashlight back to Marcus's shoulders where they sank into the wall. The concrete hadn't moved since we'd arrived, but it also hadn't let go. Marcus was part of it now, or it was part of him. I couldn't tell which. Everett's meter beeped twice. He looked down at it, then up at the ceiling. Frequency spiked, 24 hertz. It's responding to the announcement. Or the announcement is responding to it, I said. Nobody answered that. Nicole pulled her radio off her belt and keyed it. Control, this is Reynolds. Requesting immediate acoustic shutdown on all PA systems in lower northwest sector. We have a feedback loop amplifying environmental distortion. The older voice came back. PA system is non-responsive to remote shutoff. Manual override required at junction box near Gallery 2 entrance. Then send someone to shut it down. Negative. All non-essential personnel are restricted from lower sectors until your team confirms safe egress. Nicole's hand tightened on the radio. We need it off now. Static. Then, understood. Logging request. Advise when you have Hoff secured for extraction. She clipped the radio back and looked at Everett. Can you block it? Everett blinked. Block what? The sound. The feedback. You said it's physical displacement through the structure. Can you disrupt it? Everett stared at her for 3 seconds. Then he said, maybe. If we introduce a countersignal, white noise, multiple frequencies across the audible spectrum, it could mask the primary wave and prevent the system from tracking coherent input. In English, Attakus said. Drown it out, Everett said. Flood the corridor with noise so the PA system can't hear itself. No feedback loop, no adaptive response. I looked at Marcus. He was still watching us. His hand moved again. Same shoving gesture, slower this time. His fingers bent at all those wrong joints. Nicole said, how fast can you set that up? Everett pulled a small equipment bag off his shoulder and crouched down. He unzipped it and started pulling things out. 2 handheld radios, a coil of thin cable, a palm-sized speaker with a clip on the back. He said, 3 minutes, maybe 4. I'll need everyone's radios set to open mic and positioned at intervals down the corridor. The speaker runs a white noise generator. I built it for field tests last year. If we layer the signals and max the volume, it should create enough interference to blind the system temporarily. Temporarily, Nicole repeated. I don't know what happens after that, Everett said. He didn't look up. He was connecting the cable to one of the radios. This isn't standard acoustics. The system is learning, adapting. If we mask it, it might recalibrate, or it might stop, or it might get worse, I said. Everett looked at me. Yeah, or that. Nicole checked her watch again, then she nodded. Do it. We get Marcus out while it's quiet. Clyde handed over his radio. I unclipped mine and passed it to Everett. Attakus did the same. Everett worked fast, threading the cable between the radios, setting them to the same channel, keying each one to transmit. He clipped the speaker to his belt and pulled a small handheld device out of his bag. Some kind of frequency generator, old and scuffed, with a dial and a single toggle switch. He stood up and started placing the radios. One at the junction we'd passed 20 feet back. One halfway between the junction and Marcus. One at our feet. He turned the volume knobs all the way up on each one and the feedback started immediately. Low hiss building into a whine, then flattening out into static as the white noise generator kicked in. The sound was ugly, layered. It didn't cover the announcement so much as bury it under something worse. Everett flipped the toggle on the generator and the speaker on his belt started buzzing. He twisted the dial and the buzz spread into a crackling hum that filled the whole corridor. For 3 seconds, everything went quiet. Not silent, quiet. The announcement cut off mid-word. The hum from the floor stopped. The vibration I'd been feeling in my chest since we entered the passage disappeared. Even the fluorescent lights stopped flickering. Everything smoothed out. Flat. Still. I wrote, masking successful. All environmental sounds ceased. Then the quiet got heavier. I felt it first behind my ears. Pressure building, not painful. Just there. Like someone pressing thumbs into the soft spots below my skull and holding them there. I swallowed and it didn't pop. I tried again. Nothing. Clyde's flashlight beam started to smear. I watched it. The light hit the wall in a clean circle, same as before. But when he moved it, the circle left a trail. Faint. Barely visible. Like the light was dragging through something thicker than air. It didn't fade right away. It hung there for half a second before dissolving. I opened my mouth to say something and stopped. Hairline cracks were forming in the ceiling. Thin, precise. They started near the leftmost fluorescent fixture and spread outward in branches, each one maybe 6 inches long. They opened slowly, black lines widening into gaps I could see through, then closed again. Slow, rhythmic, like blinking. I counted. 12 seconds open, 4 seconds closed. I wrote it down. My hand was shaking. Clyde saw them too. He raised his flashlight toward the ceiling, and the beam smeared worse, leaving a curved streak of light that bent wrong before it faded. Attakus said, "The hell is that?" Nobody answered. The cracks blinked again. Marcus moved. He lifted both hands and covered his face. His fingers folded over his flattened cheeks, all those extra joints curling inward, and I could see through the gaps between his knuckles that the concrete behind him was pulling tighter. Attakus moved toward the wall before anyone could argue about it. He stepped past Nicole with the crowbar already shifting in his grip, searching for something to pry. Found it maybe 10 feet down from where Marcus sat, embedded in the concrete. Small metal panel I hadn't noticed before, painted the same gray as everything else. Access point, probably. He wedged the crowbar tip into the seam and leaned his weight into it. The sound hit me before the panel moved, metal scraping concrete. High-pitched, sharp, wrong in a way that made my teeth ache. I opened my mouth to tell him to stop, but the announcement came back. Not gradual, not fading in, instant and loud. Louder than it had been even when we first entered. Loud enough that I felt it in my molars, in the soft tissue behind my eyes. The white noise from Everett's radios was still running, but it didn't matter anymore. The announcement cut straight through like the static wasn't even there. The words were clearer now, too. I could actually make them out for the first time since we'd gone inside. All personnel evacuate lower maintenance corridor. Fire detected. Proceed to nearest marked exit. Do not use elevators. 12 seconds. 4 seconds silence. Then again. I looked at Everett and he was staring at his meter, face gone pale under the fluorescent lights. He said something, but I couldn't hear it over the loop. I pointed at my ear and shook my head. He held the meter up so I could see the display. 28 hertz. The number climbed while I watched. 29. 30. Attakus got the panel open. It came free with a shriek of bent metal and he tossed it aside, leaning in to examine whatever was behind. Wiring, probably. Junction box. I took 2 steps toward him to see, and that's when I felt it. My chest. Not the pressure I'd been feeling before. That dull thump that came and went with the announcement. This was different. This was my heartbeat trying to match something outside of me, trying to sync up. I could feel the pull of it, this external rhythm dragging at my pulse, coaxing it into alignment. I stopped walking, put my hand flat against my sternum and counted. My heart was beating too fast. Not panic fast, metronomic fast, precise. And every 4th beat stuttered, hesitated, like it was trying to skip into a different pattern entirely. Attakus was still bent over the access panel, hands working inside, and I could hear his breathing now. Loud mechanical sound cutting through the announcement, the rebreather kit on his harness. He wasn't using it, didn't need to, air quality was fine, but the thing was cycling anyway. Valve opening and closing, hiss and click, hiss and click. 12 seconds on, 4 seconds off. Oh, hell. I counted again to be sure. Watched Attakus's back expand and contract while he worked. The rebreather cycled independent of his actual breathing. It was matching the announcement. Exactly, and my pulse was trying to follow. I wrote it down because that's what I do. Hands shaking enough that the letters came out jagged. Rebreather cycling 12/4 pattern, pulse attempting sync, external rhythm influence. Everett appeared beside me, close enough I could smell his sweat. He was talking fast, words bleeding together. Something about sympathetic resonance and frequency entrainment. I caught maybe half of it. He kept saying biological systems and phase locking. I showed him my notebook, pointed at the words. He read it, nodded, looked at Attakus and then back at me. His mouth shaped a word I couldn't hear over the loop, but I'm pretty sure it was shit. Clyde was already moving, pulling his radio from his belt. Except the radios were positioned down the corridor for Everett's white noise setup. He'd given his up. He looked at it for a second, empty belt clip where it should have been, then turned and jogged back toward the nearest one. The announcement cycled again and I tried not to feel my heartbeat, tried not to notice the way it skipped, failed at both. Clyde grabbed the radio from the floor 20 feet back, brought it to his mouth, keyed the mic. I could see his lips moving. Couldn't hear the words, but I knew the cadence. Standard report format. Situation update. Request for guidance. He released the mic and waited. The reply came through maybe 3 seconds later. Clear enough I heard it even over the announcement. Copy that. Hard hat located in Passage C, 60 feet from Gallery 3. No sign of Hoff. Proceeding to gallery entrance. Confirm air quality, unchanged. Clyde's voice. Not Clyde standing in front of me. Clyde from earlier. From 15, maybe 20 minutes ago when he'd first radioed in after we found Marcus's hard hat. I watched his face, watched the confusion settle in, then the frown, then the slow, dawning realization that something was badly wrong. The radio crackled again. Same voice, same flat professional tone. Air quality green across all sensors. Gallery 3 camera feed, still down. Advise caution proceeding. Control room's response. From before, but in Clyde's voice now. Then a pause. 2 seconds. 3. Officer Johnson, please confirm your current position relative to the northwest wall. That one was new. Still Clyde's voice, but the phrasing was wrong, too formal. And nobody had called him Officer Johnson this whole time. Not Control, not Nicole, not anybody. Clyde didn't answer. He was staring at the radio like it had grown teeth. The voice came back, patient, helpful. Thermal efficiency improves with closer contact. Recommend approach to within 18 inches of wall surface for optimal stabilization. I didn't think, just moved. Grabbed the shoulder strap of Clyde's vest and yanked him backward hard enough he stumbled. The radio fell from his hand and hit the concrete. Still transmitting. Officer Johnson, please confirm position. I looked at his face and saw it. Saw how close he'd been. His eyes were unfocused, pupils dilated, and his weight was shifting forward like he'd been about to take a step toward the wall. Toward the concrete that had gone soft around Marcus. That was still holding him. Clyde blinked, shook his head, focused on me. Don't, I said, probably shouted it. Hard to tell. Don't listen to it. He nodded, kept nodding, looked at the radio on the ground, and then at the wall, and then at me again. Nicole was there suddenly, hand on Clyde's other arm, pulling him farther back. She was saying something I couldn't make out. Looked angry. Looked scared. Both, probably. The radio kept transmitting, kept using Clyde's voice to ask him to step closer. After the third repetition, it gave up and went silent. Attakus stood up from the access panel, turning toward us with wiring in one hand. He was yelling something, gesturing. I shook my head. He yelled louder, pointed at Marcus, made a lifting motion. Right. Extract Marcus. That was still the plan. Get him out of the wall, get him moving, get everyone back to the entrance. Nicole understood too. She moved toward Marcus, motioning for Attakus to take one side while she took the other. I followed because somebody needed to document this and because standing still felt worse. We got Marcus under the arms, Attakus on the left, Nicole on the right. I grabbed his legs, hooking my hands under his knees. The concrete behind him was still soft, still molded around his shoulders and spine. When we pulled, it resisted. Not hard, just sticky, like we were peeling him off flypaper. He came free with a sound I'm not going to describe. His back was dry, no residue from the concrete, no dust, nothing. Just his shirt, exactly as it had been. We got him up, got his arms over Attakus's and Nicole's shoulders. Started back toward the junction. I looked up at the entrance we'd come through, saw it clearly. Plain metal door with the push bar handle maybe 40 feet away, close enough I could make out the scuff marks on the lower panel. We walked. 10 feet. 15. I looked up again. The door was still 40 feet away. I stopped, stared at it. We'd definitely moved. I could see our starting position back by the access panel, see the distance we'd covered. But the door hadn't gotten closer. Took 5 more steps, eyes locked on the entrance. Still 40 feet. Clyde noticed too. He was ahead of us, leading the way, and he'd frozen in place, staring forward. He turned back to look at me, and I saw my own expression reflected on his face. Everett was talking again. I caught fragments this time. Standing wave propagation and boundary condition manipulation and spatial metric distortion. His voice kept climbing, words coming faster, and I realized he was trying to explain what was happening, trying to make it fit into some framework that made sense. The numbers started maybe 30 seconds later. Frequencies, wavelengths, decibel measurements. He was reading from his meter, reciting the values like an incantation. Like if he just documented it precisely enough, it would stop. It didn't stop. Nicole's voice cut through, sharp and decisive. She said Clyde's name twice to get his attention. When he turned, she was looking past him, past all of us, toward a side passage I hadn't noticed before. Small corridor branching off to the right, barely wider than a maintenance shaft. Service access, she said. Loud enough I heard her clearly despite the announcement still cycling overhead. Connects to coolant system. There's a manual release valve 30 feet in. Clyde stared at her. Manual release for what? Emergency flood protocol. Opens the primary line, dumps water into the lower passages to contain fires or chemical spills. I wrote that down. Had to switch to a new page because my notebook was filling up fast. We're in the lower passages, Clyde said. Nicole nodded. I know. But if we flood the corridor, it breaks the resonance pattern, disrupts the acoustic propagation. Whatever this is, it's using the structure of the space. Change the medium, and it stops. Attakus shifted Marcus's weight on his shoulders, frowning. How much water? Enough to matter. Couple thousand gallons in the first 90 seconds. Enough to reach knee height in a space this size. That'll wreck everything down here. All the wiring, the control systems. I know, Nicole said again. Harder this time, but we're not getting out any other way. I looked at the door, still 40 feet away. Looked at Marcus, face still flattened, fingers still wrong. Looked at my notebook where I'd written down everything that had happened, every detail that didn't fit. Nicole was already moving toward the service access. Clyde, you're with me. Everett, kill the white noise. Attakus, Webster, get Marcus as close to the entrance as you can. When you hear the water, run. The announcement changed. Didn't cycle through to the next repetition, didn't finish the current loop, just stopped mid-word and started over with something new. Emergency water containment procedures in effect. All personnel evacuate immediately. Flooding imminent in lower corridors. Seek high ground. Do not attempt to swim against current. I looked at Nicole. She'd frozen 2 steps from the service passage entrance. The announcement continued, calm and clear. Estimated water depth 4 feet. Estimated time to full saturation 90 seconds. Secure all flotation devices. Proceed to marked emergency exits in orderly fashion. I grabbed my pen, wrote it down. Announcement shifted to drowning procedures before valve opened. Timing impossible. Nicole was staring at the service access, at the dark corridor that led to the manual release she'd been about to trigger. She hadn't opened it yet. Whatever was in here with us, it had heard her plan, had understood it, and had changed the message before she could act. Not after. Before. I underlined the last sentence in my notebook twice, hand shaking hard enough the lines came out crooked. Too fast to be coincidence. The service passage ended at a grated hatch set into the floor. Square metal frame, maybe 3 feet across, with a stenciled marking. I had to crouch to read. Spillway access, authorized only. I heard the water before Clyde touched the lock. Deep roar from below. Not mechanical, not pump-driven. Just water moving through concrete, loud enough to feel in my sternum, rising up the shaft like something breathing. Clyde pulled his keys from the retractable cord on his belt. The sound they made was wrong, too light, like the metal had lost weight, or the air had gotten thicker, or both. He sorted through them without looking at me and found the right one on the 3rd try. Nicole stood over his shoulder with the clipboard pressed against her chest. 30 feet down. Valve should be accessible from the 1st platform. Everett crouched beside me with the meter still in his hand. The pressure wave peaks where the PA conduit meets the primary concrete. If we introduce water into that junction, it stops the feedback, Nicole said, or it amplifies it. Everett looked at the meter. 26 hertz, holding steady now. If the wave propagates through water instead of air, it could carry through the whole structure, every gallery, every tunnel. Nicole didn't answer. She checked her watch instead. Clyde turned the key. The lock disengaged with a click that echoed wrong, bouncing back from a direction that shouldn't exist. He pulled the grate up and swung it to the side. The roar got louder. I leaned over the edge and looked down. Shaft dropped straight into darkness. Ladder bolted to the wall, metal rungs every 12 inches, disappearing into black about 20 feet down where my angle cut off the view. The sound came from below that. Constant, no variation, just water moving. Attakus stepped past me and looked down without hesitation. How deep? 30 feet to the 1st platform, Nicole said. Valves manual, wheel crank, quarter turn clockwise. He nodded once and started unclipping the rebreather harness. You'll need a rope, Clyde said. Attakus paused, then nodded again. Yeah, probably. That's what he said. Clyde jogged back toward the junction where we'd set up the white noise radios and returned 40 seconds later with a coil of yellow nylon rope, the kind with reflective tracers woven through. He tied one end around Attakus's harness with a bowline knot and handed the coil to me. Feed it slow, Clyde said. He'll tug twice when he's at the platform, 3 times when the valves open. I took the rope. It felt normal. Regular weight, regular texture. I wrapped it twice around my left hand and braced. Attakus clipped the rebreather back on, checked the regulator, and swung his legs into the shaft. His boots found the 1st rung, then the 2nd. He started descending without looking up. I fed the rope. Nicole moved beside me and grabbed the line with both hands, adding her weight behind mine. Everett stood to my right with the meter, watching the reading. The announcement cycled again. 12 seconds. 4 seconds silence. And that's when I understood. Not all of it. Not the how or the why, but the shape of it. The drowning script wasn't trying to scare us off. It was giving us instructions. Fire in the corridor. Evacuate this way. Structural instability. Don't touch the walls. Thermal efficiency. Step closer for stabilization. And now the valve. Flood the passage. Introduce water into the system. It wanted us to do this. I opened my mouth to say something. Wasn't sure what. Just that we needed to stop. But Attakus was already 15 feet down. I could see the top of his head, the dark buzz cut reflecting Clyde's flashlight beam. The ladder rungs were stretching, not bending, stretching. The gaps between them widening as he descended, 12 inches becoming 14, then 16, the metal pulling like taffy but staying solid, staying bolted to the wall. I blinked, looked again. Same thing. Clyde. He saw it too. His flashlight beam locked on the rungs and didn't move. Attakus kept climbing down. If he noticed the stretching, he didn't show it. His hands reached for the next rung at normal intervals, found it exactly where he expected, kept moving. The rope in my hand went taut. I fed more line. Everett's meter started climbing. 27 hertz, 28. I looked around for something to anchor the rope to and found a vertical pipe support 3 feet to my left, part of the coolant system Nicole had mentioned earlier. I looped the rope twice around the pipe and knotted it fast, then returned my hands to the line between the pipe and the shaft. 2 tugs came up through the rope, platform. I counted to 10, listening. The roar below got louder. Then I heard metal on metal, grinding, the valve wheel turning. 3 tugs, valve open, water hit, not rising, slamming. Upward force like a piston fired from below, pressure wave condensed into liquid mass moving faster than water should move in an enclosed space. The announcement cut off mid-phrase. Just gone. No fade, no static. 1 second it was there, the next it wasn't. The rope went slack, not loose, slack, like the far end had been cut or removed or stopped existing in a way I could feel through the tension. I pulled. The rope came up easy. Too easy. Water erupted from the shaft opening and hit the corridor floor, spreading fast in both directions. Cold. I felt it through my boots immediately, soaking through the laces. The stretched geometry snapped. That's the only way I can describe it. The corridor lurched, or we lurched, or the space between us and the exit compressed like a released spring. The door I'd been watching, stuck 40 feet away no matter how far we walked, suddenly looked close, maybe 30 feet. Then 25. It had stopped sliding away. "Move," Nicole said. Clyde was already moving. He grabbed Marcus under the arms and started dragging him backward toward the exit. Marcus. It was Marcus we had. Attakus was gone. Marcus's boots dragged through the rising water, leaving wake trails. I dropped the rope and grabbed Marcus's legs again, lifting under the knees. Nicole took his other side. Everett scooped up his meter and the white noise speaker, still crackling static, and jogged ahead. The water kept rising, ankle deep now. The cold went through my socks into my feet, numbing my toes. We hauled Marcus toward the junction. Clyde led with his flashlight, the beam steady now, no more smearing. The fluorescent lights overhead stopped flickering, just steady hum, normal hum. 20 feet from the junction, the corridor opened up, and I saw the restricted entrance door. Plain metal, card reader, authorized personnel only. It looked exactly the distance it should look. Everett reached it first and slammed his palm against the push bar. The door opened. Warm air rolled in from the other side, carrying the smell of carpet and recycled air conditioning and tourists. We pulled Marcus through. The exhibit side corridor. Warmth. Normal facility hum from the vents overhead. Public speakers mounted in the ceiling corners. Silent. I let go of Marcus's legs and stepped back, breathing hard. My hands were shaking. I made fists to stop it, but that just moved the shaking into my forearms. Clyde lowered Marcus to the floor carefully, checking his pulse at the neck. Still steady. Nicole was already on her radio, the one she'd kept, not one of the ones we'd given to Everett. "This is Reynolds. We have Hoff, extracted from lower northwest passage, requesting immediate medical to restricted access point Alpha. We have 1 casualty unaccounted for." A voice I didn't recognize came back, older, male, calm. "Copy that. Medical is en route. Facility manager Murray is with them. ETA 2 minutes. Nicole clipped the radio back to her belt and looked at me. You wrote it all down? I nodded. Good. Radio logs are compromised. Your notes are the only clean record. I pulled the notebook from my pocket. The pages were damp at the edges, but the ink held. I flipped through. 14 pages of observations, times, measurements, vibration patterns, the announcement inconsistencies, Marcus's condition, the rope going slack. Everett sat on the floor with his back against the wall, the meter in his lap showing 18 hertz, dropping. He wasn't talking, just staring at the reading. Clyde stood and walked to the door we'd just come through. He looked back into the restricted passage. Water lapped at the threshold, maybe 6 inches deep, not rising anymore. The corridor beyond looked normal, concrete, lights, no stretching, no cracks in the ceiling. He closed the door, footsteps from the left, fast, organized. I turned and saw them coming. 2 people in EMS gear with a gurney, a man in a white hard hat with a facility badge, and a woman in a medic jacket carrying a trauma bag. The man in the hard hat, Murray, I figured. The facility manager Nicole had mentioned stopped in front of Nicole and spoke low. I caught pieces. Gallery sealed. Recovery protocol. Confirm personnel count. Nicole answered. 5 extracted, 1 unaccounted. Attakus Richardson, Navy support. Descended into the spillway shaft to manually open the intake valve. Valve opened successfully. He did not resurface. Murray's face didn't change. He nodded once and pulled a radio from his belt, stepping aside to make a call. The woman in the medic jacket, Sawyer, her name tag said, knelt beside Marcus and opened the trauma bag. She checked his pupils with a penlight, took his pulse again, examined his face where the cheeks were still flattened against the skull. Possible crush injury, she said to one of the EMS guys. No visible bleeding. Resp rate normal. Pulse 92. Pupils responsive. They loaded Marcus onto the gurney. His eyes tracked them the whole time. Still not talking. Still conscious. Sawyer looked at me. You were with him? Yeah. Did he hit his head? Fall? Any impact trauma? No, he was sitting against the wall when we found him. The concrete was soft. It molded around him. She blinked. Didn't write that down. Soft. Yeah. She looked at Murray. He was still on the radio, back turned. I'll include that in the report, she said. They wheeled Marcus away. Sawyer went with them. Murray finished his call and walked back to Nicole. Recovery team is staging. Shafts flooded to the 3rd platform. They can't access below that until we pump it. Estimate 6 hours minimum. He had a rebreather, Nicole said. I know. Murray's voice stayed level. They'll do everything they can. He turned to me. You're Webster? Yeah. Reynolds says you documented the incident. I need that notebook. I handed it over. He flipped through it without reading closely, just checking that it was filled. I'll have this copied and returned within the hour. You'll need to give a full debrief to the safety board, probably tomorrow. Okay. He looked at Clyde. You too, Johnson, and Salazar. Everett nodded from the floor, still hadn't stood up. Murray's radio crackled. He answered it, listened, then looked at Nicole. They're shutting down galleries 2, 3, and 5. Restricted access until we clear the environmental factors and confirm structural integrity. Nicole nodded. Murray left. I sat down on the floor next to Everett. My boots were soaked through. My socks squelched when I moved my toes. Clyde stood by the door for another minute, then walked over and sat across from me. Nobody said anything. The public address speakers stayed silent. 6 hours later, Murray found me in the break room on the 2nd floor and told me the recovery team had confirmed it. Attakus Richardson hadn't resurfaced. The shaft was clear down to the intake junction. No body, no equipment, no rebreather. Just water. I didn't ask how that was possible. I already knew the answer wouldn't make sense. They shut down 3 more galleries that night, sealed the access points, posted guards. I got my notebook back an hour after that. Copied, like Murray said. I sat in my truck in the parking lot and flipped through it, reading my own handwriting. The last entry was from right before we reached the hatch. I clicked my pen and wrote one more line. My hand cramped halfway through. I ignored it and kept going. The dam hadn't failed, but it had learned to imitate the people inside it, and it had tried to teach us an ending we couldn't take back. I closed the notebook, drove home. Didn't sleep.